Welcome to Learning Photography with Duck. Here's your host, Duck.
Hey everybody, welcome once again to another episode of Learn Photography with Duck. I am your host, Duck, and it's been a long time coming, but I finally have it. I am on the new computer.
The audio sounds cleaner too.
Well, hopefully, because the new system is a lot more powerful. It's got a beefier graphics card, so I'm not sharing resources like the old machine was doing. So it's able to handle the resources a lot better. Let me tell you, this machine flies.
New camera?
No, same camera, same.
Really? Okay, both audio and video are cleaner.
Yeah. So hopefully that's gonna be par for the course with the new machine. I'm still getting used to it. It is Windows 11. They made some changes. I don't know if I like the changes. One of them being to the start menu. It's like the old start menu with Windows 10 has the tiles, and you can customize what you want, where you want it. They got rid of all that. It was so great to pull up my start menu. I had everything organized. These are my programs for graphic design. These are my programs for video. These are my programs for writing. It's like now.
I have, what I do with my shortcuts? I have a folder. It's under documents. I don't know why I put it under documents, but I have a document folder called application shorthands. And I have all my shorthands. And then I have sub-menus for my Adobe, meaning Audition and the two photography ones and that type of stuff. So I always go to my folder and I get my stuff that way.
Yeah. Well, it's going to take a while. I'm brand new to this system. I'm still trying to make my way through. Trying to configure the system, it's a little tricky because I'm so familiar with Windows 10. I know how to get to places. Now they kind of move things around. The interface is completely different. And it's like, okay, well, I kind of know where it's supposed to be, but I'm not finding it. So it's a little bit of hunt and peck. It's going to be a learning process, to say the least. The name of the company is Origin PC. Origin PC. Let me tell you, aside from a minor glitch with a missing piece, they were really, really great to work with. The computer is their top of the line. It's Corsair. They call it a Corsair brand computer, but it has an MSI motherboard. MSI computers are, top of the line computers. So it's got the MSI hard motherboard. It has NVIDIA graphics card. It's got, I think I got the Intel processor. But it's a awesome computer.
How much memory?
VRAM is 6 gigabytes, and I think I don't have the specs in front of me. I don't even have them memorized. I think I got 32. I think my RAM is 32. I think I went with the upper scale. I don't think I went with 16. So, but I'll have to print it out and share it maybe next time.
If you can print it out and share it, that would be great, because I want to think of what you've done when I decide to upgrade.
Yeah. Well. What was that, Carol?
Same here.
Okay. Yeah, you're coming across very scratchy, dear.
Yeah.
So if you go on their website, they have kind of like preset configurations at different price ranges. Whether you're looking for a gaming computer or a work computer or a laptop. And then within those configurations, you can upgrade certain modules. And that's pretty much what I did. I just said, hey, look, this is what I need. This is what I'm looking to get. Can you make suggestions? And they made a couple little suggestions. I implemented it and I ordered it. So it was fairly simple. The machine is huge. It came packed in a wooden crate. A wooden crate. It's still sitting here in my studio. I'm debating whether I should throw it out or turn it into a prop. I mean, it's sturdy, So anyway,
for starting off, did you look under gaming?
I did. All right. So my previous setup, both for my laptop at home and the machine that I was using prior here, those were built as gaming computers. All right. And the reason I went with a gaming format is because of the high graphics demand that, photography has. Photoshop, Lightroom, any other programs that you use for your photo editing, Luminar, whatever it is. Anytime you're working with graphics, anytime you're working with video, all right, that puts a lot of stress on your internal resources on your machine. When it comes to video rendering, which is pretty much all photography and video is, you need a very robust graphics card. And as I was explaining previously, the reason for my upgrade is that recently Adobe went from their software demanding a graphics card having 2 gigabytes of VRAM to now requiring 4 gigabytes of VRAM. So I needed to upgrade my video card. But because my machine was so old and running out of room in the whole 9 yards, I figure, you know what, I'll just get a new computer. You guys experienced some of the headaches I was having with the old machine anyway. So I decided, that I was going to upgrade to that 4 gigabytes of VRAM. So when I went on the graphics card, yeah. So VRAM is video RAM. All right. Okay. So when I went online and I was looking at their machines, they have several machines, and of course they have the graphics cards that are 4 gigabyte, but they had what they term graphics workstations. So I started looking at those. And I said, well, the biggest difference is, a gaming PC has all those funky, the water cool and the LED lights and all, I don't need all that crap. I just need a basic computer that can handle the workload that I do on a daily basis. So I shifted site from their gaming PC to the workstation PC, and then they had different levels, and the one that I went to had the basic graphics card was 6 gigabytes. So I'm like, oh, that should, future-proof me for quite a long time, which so in other words, I'm kind of hoping that this is now the last PC I ever buy. This should, if the last one lasted me 10 plus years, I think like 12 years, this one, if it lasts me, 12 to 15 years, I'll be old and decrepit by then, I won't need anything else. So, but And then,
may I ask, I know I'm taking Photoshop time, but may I ask
no,
one
it's right.
question? Why did you choose Origin PC?
The original company I was going to go with was Digital Storm. And I tried to get a hold of the people at Digital Storm to help me configure the machine. And it was like pulling teeth, and I'm like, you know what? I had a really good experience with them when I first bought it 10 years ago. And now all of a sudden it's like, I couldn't get through to anybody. Emails were not being returned. So I said, you know what? I'm jumping ship. Let me take a look. And I did some research, and it came down between MSI and Origin PC. And while MSI is a great company, they're fairly large. You kind of get lost in their system. So I decided to go with Origin PC because they seem to cater to the individual a lot more. Their amenities, once you're a customer, you're a customer for life. 24/7 tech support. You can call them in the middle of the night if you have a problem. They're gonna try to help you out. So that was a nice little benefit that I thought I could use. I'm pretty self-sufficient when it comes to this kind of technology. I doubt I'll ever call them, but just having that ability, it was kind of nice. Plus, their pricing was pretty much on par with MSI, so it was just pretty much a flip of the coin, and I just felt a little better about Origin. So no deep reason for going with them, other than just a good feeling.
24/7 would be good because I have a friend who is not computer literate at all. And anytime she runs into a little problem, I get a text message or somebody else gets a text message, and then she figures it out, and she's going to upgrade at some point. So
yeah,
I might send it to Origin.
Right. All right. Before we get into our Photoshop stuff, because I transferred everything over to the new machine. I had to disable the license from my old machine in order to activate the software on the new machine. That's as far as I've gone. I've got the programs running. I was able to shoot tethered today for a client, but I am running on a fresh installation of Photoshop and a fresh installation of Lightroom. I don't even have my old Lightroom catalog migrated over. I didn't have the time, within the short amount of time from when I had the machine up and running to today to get all that in. So if we do anything, when we do stuff, in order to answer your questions today about Photoshop, just keep that in mind. I'm running bare bones. I have no assets. I really have no photos. I can probably scrape something. I'm on a machine that literally, it's brand spanking new. Brand spanking new. All right. So anyway, want to point out a couple of things. I haven't even had a chance to enter it into my nice overlays here, but I just had a talk with Jesse over at Milford Photo, and we're going to be putting 2 workshops together the week of, April 16th. All right, that week he's going away. He's got some slots. And on Thursday, Thursday 22nd, I think. Somebody wants to double check me.
Here, let me look it up, Doug. Hold on.
I think it's
if it's the week of the 16th.
The 21st. Okay. Thursday the 21st. I'm going to be doing a Zoom presentation. All right. It's going to be posted on the meetup group, Milford Photo Meetup group. I don't know how much they're going to charge for it, so just wait till it gets posted. But I'm going to be doing a lighting workshop here in the studio. It's going to be broadcast over Zoom. I'm going to be going over speed light, how to use a single speed light, and I'm going to demonstrate using a bare bulb, using it with umbrella, and using it with a softbox. I'll have a model here. I'll show you what you can do, with the 3 different lighting modifiers. And hopefully, if you're a little shy about using flash, especially small portable flashes, this might be the workshop for you. And of course, the nice thing about the Zoom platform is you'll be able to ask questions as I demonstrate, okay? The other one, this one's definitely going to be a free one, which is on Saturday, let me check, the 23rd. I think around 10 in the morning, we're going to start. And actually, hold on one second. Some of you know this. Is Jill here? Jill's not here. I've been developing a not a card game, a set of challenge cards. It's a photography game. Let me just pull the cards out. I'll show you the box real quick. All right, it's called the Photo Hunt Challenge. It's the box comes with 2 decks. And the cards, they look like game cards from like Pokemon and things like that. Here's the back. All right. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. And there's like 114 cards. All right. So you can see. All right. It's a lot of cards. And the way it goes, there's several ways you can play this, but one of the ways I like to do it is we go to an area, hopefully someplace that has a lot of variety. And for Saturday, April 23rd, we'll be at the Milford Green. So there are little shops nearby. There's things to do nature. There's things to do with people and things like that. And what we do is we establish an amount of time. Maybe it's 5 minutes, maybe it's 10 minutes, okay? And everybody will draw a challenge card. And what they do is they have that allotted time, the 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is, to complete whatever is on the challenge card, okay? And the challenges have 3 difficulty levels, everything from easy to medium to, difficult. And of course, if you pick a difficult one and you think it's above your skill level, I usually let people redraw, all right? So this one says liquid. Liquid comes in many forms, all while taking on the form of its container. Let's not get that boring, though. Show us how dynamic liquids can be. All right, so you can see it's fairly open to interpretation. How you interpret it as the photographer is part of the challenge, but it gives you a prompt. All right, in that case, find some form of liquid and show how that liquid can be photographed dynamically. Okay. Like I said, I'm still in development. I do have my prototype deck that I had printed out, but the feedback that I've gotten from the first few times I've brought this out to play with have been great, and I'm working on implementing those changes for my second iteration of the deck. And once that flies, I am going to make these available for sale. So it's great if you are in a camera club. You can buy a deck for the camera club to use, and it makes great outings. You know, if you are, you know, if you don't know what you would like to do for an outing, you know, this is great. It's also great as a solo person if you have these cards and, you know, you're having a mental block and you don't know, oh, you know, I feel like taking pictures, but I don't know what to do. You can always go to the deck, pull out a challenge card, and, you know, challenge yourself to complete that task. All right, here's another one. Another easy one. Okay. Money. They say money makes the world go around. I say money makes for a good photographic subject. Prove me right. Okay. So again, very open to interpretation. How you interpret it as the photographer is entirely up to you. It's been a lot of fun, and we're going to be doing it again Saturday, April 23rd, down at the Milford Green. So if you want, pencil that day in. Stay tuned because they will get listed next couple of days up on the meetup page for Milford Photo. Okay? Awesome. I see some new names. Melissa. Lehia is in complete shadow. Sandy is a new name. Sandy. All right. So if you're new to my channel, thank you for stopping by. Oh, Sandy, I think you were here last week, right?
Well, I was here a few months ago, maybe, but I took a class from Milford Photo with you before COVID. Outside.
Okay. Good. Well, welcome. Thank you for joining us. You know, hopefully you'll find the information useful. Today is about Photoshop. And then next week is going to be our general Q&A that you can ask questions just about anything. So let's see, who else? I heard somebody else come in. Oh, Alan's here. Brian's here. Bob's here. Welcome. Carol. Awesome. Bonnie's here. Cool. All right. So, understanding that Photoshop is right now pretty blank for me, I did have a conversation with Lehia prior to this, and she told me that she has a lot of questions. I do. So what I'm going to do is I'm pretty much going to open the floor up to Lehia to go ahead and ask some questions. I'm sure that, you know, everybody else will be able to springboard offer some of the questions, and we'll all learn a little something. Okay, so go for it, Lehia. What do you got?
Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm totally in shadows, but I have light behind me, and it's not dark enough. I do have my lights over here, but it's not power enough.
That's okay. We'll forgive you. You know, photographer who doesn't know how to control her light.
No, hello. But oh well. Now, can I offer a challenge? I have to modify. Actually, I need to correct a little bit of something in a photograph. Would it be okay if I share my screen and then we all pitch in and have to do this? Because apparently my brushes don't work. I have no idea what I'm doing wrong. So it would be a good opportunity. It's a tiny thing, little tiny thing that I need to delete from an image that I did with Don Gennari.
Okay.
Bottles. And it's just a minor thing, but I know those little tiny minor things sometimes are a nightmare. So I'm going to share my screen.
Okay.
And I'm going to pop up Photoshop. Actually, let me share this screen. So I'm going to share this one. And share my second screen away. And I'm going to bring the photograph. compatibility. Open connection.
All right.
Let's see if it pop-ups here. But I had to bring it in.
So, all right. So it's something you were working on, you said?
Yes, I have to.
Here, but I'm gonna go ahead and switch over my screen so I don't accidentally dox you here. Okay, I'm already seeing a problem with your setup, dear. Can anybody? I'm sure.
Oh, we cover all those. Why is not bringing all my?
Oh, you have it on a backup system?
No, it's in a hard drive.
It's in a what?
Hard drive.
You're not on your hard drive. You're on your backup.
Oh, wait
The
a
next,
minute,
the next one up.
Yeah.
Go up one.
Yeah, but it's not in my. It's not in my.
That's your hard drive.
No, it's not in the main. It's not in this system. Hold on a sec. No, I guess.
So you have it on a backup drive, external drive.
External drive.
External drive, right? Okay.
Next time I'm done.
All right.
Sorry. Let's see.
Check your network.
Super pop. Let's see.
That zoom in set's not working. Okay.
Okay, let's do something. Super pop. Finally, my hard drive is not moving.
You have to find network. It'll show you all your drives.
Well, one of the reasons I don't like Macs.
I don't I don't like PCs. What happened is this is not the drive that I want. What happened? I was playing with my other drive. This is the drive I want. I normally don't. I do not disconnect my drive, but
Okay. Well,
set the
I tell you what. While you're searching for that, does
let
anybody?
me just unshare and then find it and I'll let you know when it comes.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see if whatchamacallit. While you search for it, I'll ask anybody else if they have a question.
Thanks, good.
Okay.
Okay.
We
Yes.
will get back to Lihia shortly.
Back in a second. I'm getting there for a second.
Um, so, which is, actually it brings up a point because as I am starting to amass more and more of a library, my little backup system, which was fairly, I can't even reach. The cables aren't long enough to hold up to the camera, but it's a RAID 1 system where basically the data is mirrored on 2 drives, and if the data goes bad on one drive, it will rebuild from the second drive. And the nice thing about that is, as I fill up one drive, I just go out, buy 2 more fairly inexpensive hard disk drives, load them in, load those up. The problem becomes when you start getting a collection of disks. So this is, 500 megabytes. Oh no, wait a minute. I think these might be 1 terabyte drives. All right, doubled over, mirrored. What happens is after a while, you start amassing all of these, and it becomes, all right, where did I put it? So, switching from one drive to the other, while it's easy, it's a pain in the ass. So I've been thinking about switching over to a NAS system, which is a network accessible storage system, and then just getting a bunch of like 8 terabyte drives and plug it into my system. So I feel the pain for those of you who are bouncing from storage drive to storage drive, because that's where I'm at. So.
Okay, Doc, I have it on the screen, so I'm going to
Okay,
share.
awesome.
Now, it shows too big on the screen. I can only see, actually I can see what I need to modify, but you cannot see the whole image.
Okay.
Right now.
All right, so you're zoomed in. Is that what it is?
It is, let me see if I can. How do I minimize the size?
Your zoom.
Okay.
You got to use your zoom tool.
The zoom. Where is the done?
The letter Z will, you can zoom in and out temporarily with the letter Z.
There you go.
Right? Just, no.
There you go.
Yeah.
You got it.
Okay.
So this is the image,
Okay.
and it was the assignment was black bottle, and it was to create this outline of the image.
Okay.
And on this one, what I did was I had the black bottle.
Mm-hmm.
I light it up on the edges, gonna measure the same distance from each other. And then these zigzags are the light painting.
Light painting, yep.
Yeah, like, now, however, the light painting created this little green outline. See it?
Okay.
Now the question is, I need to delete it.
Okay.
So I was messing around with this. This
Yeah,
tool.
no, that won't be the best tool. All right, so in a situation like this, if you look especially on the left side, there is a clear break between the blue and the green. There's that little sliver of black. Okay. So one of the things that I would suggest is, minimize your cursor. All right, make the brush a little bit smaller. Okay, good. That might be too small, but yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Okay. And what you're gonna do is you want to use the clone stamp tool. Clone stamp tool. Okay. No, that's your pattern. Okay. You're gonna need to. All right. See that little arrow right next to that clone stamp tool thing? Click on that. Yeah. Oh, why isn't it not? Oh, there it is. Clone stamp. Okay. Click on that. All right. And what you're going to do is you're going to sample to the area to the right of that. Yep. And then go to the left. Nope, straight across to the left. You're going up. All right. Here, hold on one second. Go ahead and stop sharing.
So do I go from left?
All right.
No,
so
right to left. Is that right? Like this?
yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah. So yeah, you're pretty much going to use the clone stamp tool to hide, all that. Right now you have your opacity set at 58. But if you set the opacity at 100, it's going to allow you to do it very, very quick. Okay?
So right there?
Yep. Now, here's a little trick that you can do. Okay? If you click at the top part, all right, and because that edge is fairly straight, so you go all the way, bump it up to where the blue is, right there, yep. So click there, all right. Go down about halfway down that screen. Why did you, no. You just reset your point, your sample point. You want to sample from the middle of the bottle. There you go. Now go straight to the left, yep. Okay, click. Just regular click. Yep. Travel down about halfway. All right. Put your cursor right there and then shift click. There you go. Okay.
Whoa.
And you can travel all the way down. Now, hold on. I want you to undo those. Control Z. All right. Because the one thing I notice is that your feathering is pretty wide.
Right.
All right. Go ahead and open up your brush assets. Your brush. Yep. Okay. And the hardness, go ahead and put it about 85. All right. This will give you at this scale, you're about 20 pixels. At this scale, you're going to get a fairly crisp edge without it being, exactly sharp. So it gives you that little bit of a soft edge. All right.
Right.
All right. Now try it again. Right up against the blue at the top.
So click it.
Yeah. Okay.
Click.
Yep.
And then
Just
navigate. Maybe
shift click. Yep.
Click it on.
Nope. You didn't hold the shift click. All right. Shift.
Shift. Click it on. One click.
All right. Yep. Shift click. Now travel down a little more.
One click.
Shift click. Travel down a little more. All right. Shift click. All right. And when you start getting to a curve, that's when you're going to make your steps down a little bit, less and less, but you can see it. All right. You can, there you go. Try it on the other side. All right. Don't forget to reset. All right. and go ahead. What you want to do is just to the left of the green. No, put your cursor just to the left of the green. Keep going to the left. Keep going to the left. Your other left. Keep going off the green. Off the green. There you go. All right. Right click. Or I'm sorry, not right click. Alt click or option click, I think, for you, Mac. All right. Now bring it straight to the right. Right there. Click. Travel down. Shift click. Travel down. Shift click. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Down, 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 down. Keep going down. Keep going down. Keep going down. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Keep going down. All right, there you go. Okay. And now you can do that up at the top. All right. You've already set it for working on the right hand side. You don't need to reset your point. Just go to the right. Go to the right. Cover that. Yep. Click. Oh, you hit the shift. You can't. Don't hit shift. All right. Just regular click.
Oh.
Yep. There you go. Tap. Yep. And you get that little bit of green stray.
Why is this?
Because you're over to the left. Go back to the right. Get that little bit of green on the right. Right side of the bottle. All right. Well, that's the left, but that's okay.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Oh, I have a little bit of.
Yeah, there you go. So reset from the middle of the bottle. Okay.
Reset.
Yep. There you go.
Green should disappear forever.
Yep. So
Oh,
now,
green.
yep. So you now know how to do it.
And click and shift all the way down.
Okay. Yeah, you got to watch your curves though. Okay. You don't want them.
Now, question.
Yeah.
If I have this and I would like to just detail the edge, which tool would you use here?
If you want to do what?
Like detail it just a little bit more clean, like the edge instead of detail. Can you do that?
You mean clean up the edge a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same tool. You can use the same tool.
But then the feather will be. So if I do this, so the harness will be a lot less. It's just.
Yeah, I won't use that much softness to the blend. You know. Yeah. The first couple of times you do it, it's going to be trial and error until you get the look that you want. And then after that, once you have it dialed in, it's easy to swap left and right. Okay?
Yeah, but this looks a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have a second question.
Okay.
Don, the other day, Don did
Oops.
a change of background totally.
Okay.
It was an image on white on white.
Yep.
Then the only thing that we needed to do was to make the background wider. And he came right here and select something like it was the tool that selects everything but in pieces. It's like it's this like this one, but he click here.
Yep.
But it doesn't know it selects the sample of the area.
Oh.
It's similar to this, but it's not this.
Sample of the color.
Yeah, he probably used the eyedropper.
Uh-oh. I don't know. How do I deselect this thing?
Okay.
How do I deselect?
All right. I think let's see, file open. Let me
Okay.
let's see.
You see this? How do I get going? I don't want this. Now what do I do?
Command Z.
Oh no, Command D will get rid of all the marching ants.
Command D? No. Control D.
Or Control D, or Command Option D. It's Control D on a PC, so it's something.
Maybe Control D, Command D, Option D. No. No.
Oh, okay. I do not know what it is on a Mac.
This is very good. You see, you don't have any other command now. Right.
Oh, try getting out of the eyedropper. Just go to your move tool.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And then
Also select from the menu, then deselect from the drop down.
yeah, go to where it says select. Yep. Oh, it's already. Oh, yeah, you have to change your tool. Change it to the selection tool. Go over to the right. No, up. There you go, right there. Click on it. Click.
It's not letting me.
Not letting you click?
It got locked.
Oh, so your system's locked up for somehow.
It locked up.
Okay.
Oh, I know what happened. Hold on. What happened is that, okay. It's asking me to do something here, but I don't want it. Okay.
All right,
yeah.
now try there you go. Okay.
So we select the.
Yeah. All right, go ahead and stop sharing, and well, I think I got what you mean.
Okay, yes. I'm going to start that. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. Let me
Okay,
go.
stop sharing. You got it.
Okay, let me share my screen.
As you go into this, Duck, you said something about a shortcut.
Where am I? The what?
There was a shortcut for the home stamp tool. You said, here's a cute shortcut.
Oh, letter S.
And so that allows you to select and just do a whole section at once without.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Oh, okay. I see what you mean. All right. So let me put into perspective some of the things here. All right. Everybody can see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This is one of my photos. I downloaded it from the internet since I don't have access to my other. Lihia, you should recognize this. This is from the chocolate challenge that Don put out.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. We know chocolate.
Okay, so this is, it's not quite white on white, okay? But let's say that I wanted to change the background, all right, of this, all this background here, all right, all this background to a different color, okay? There's a couple of ways of doing this, all right? The first thing we need to do is we need to let Photoshop know what is it that we want to replace, okay? So in this case, it's almost too easy because I have a very uniform white field, okay? And if we look right up against the chocolate, it's a very defined contrasty edge, okay? So there's a couple tools that we can use to make our selection. All right, and one of them is the magic wand tool. Okay, and all I got to do is click on it, and it's going to make a selection. Now, it's making a selection based on, actually, let me switch over here, based on a tolerance of about 32 pixels, which is quite a bit, all right? But I can probably reduce that, let's say 10, okay? Control D, I think it's Command D for the Mac people. We'll get rid of the marching ants. All right, so let me try making that selection. Okay, so you can see that it made it a little bit better. It didn't quite go into the light gray, but I was photographing the chocolate from the bottom up. So it was propped on a piece of foam board, okay? And the top edge of the foam board that's not in the shadow of the chocolate has some extreme highlights. So you can see how the marching ants kind of just, let me pull up my,
How do I bring the magic wand into the tools?
You don't have your magic wand?
No.
Available? Okay. All right. Let me just... All right. If you do not see a particular tool here, okay, there's a little... Let me zoom in. Zoom. My zoom's not working. Why is my zoom not working? Give me 1 second. Why is my zoom not working? Show keystrokes. Oh, I see why. Give me 1 second. Okay. Let's try this again. Zoom, there we go. Okay. You see right next to the icon, there's a little arrow, okay? If you click on that and well, not click and kind of hover over it, it's going to give you other options, okay? If you do not see any of those, all right, you can come down to where it has the 3 ellipses, and if you click and hold, it will give you the edit toolbar. Edit toolbar, okay? And then from there, you can customize your toolbar, all right? And this is something that I will definitely be doing because there's a lot of redundant tools here that I tend to not use. So like the sponge tool, I hardly ever use, so I usually take them out. So everything on the left-hand side is within your tool access, and everything on the right-hand side is out. So if you know, you don't see something, right, like the line tool, I don't need. The custom shape tool, I don't need. The triangle tool, I don't need. The polygon tool, I hardly ever use. All right. Rotate view, I don't use. The hand tool, I don't use. The zoom tool, I don't use. All right. So you can go ahead, and I don't use the pattern stamp. I don't use color replacement. Okay. So you can, I don't use red eye. I don't use that. Okay. So click, just click and drag whatever you don't need, and if it's not there, just drag it back. Okay.
Doc, what are those letters on the right-hand side of that?
Those are shortcuts. That's everything that has a shortcut attached to it will display that shortcut. All right. So if I go to edit, okay. The letter C okay, brings up the crop tool. All right, and see this order? See how it says crop, perspective, crop, slice, and actually I get rid of those too. All right, so when I press the letter C, it's going to toggle over and give me my crop tool. If I say, you know what, I don't need the crop tool right now, what I actually need is the perspective crop tool, you just do Shift C and it will toggle to the next one in line. All right, so if there's a bunch of them, it will toggle through the list, okay? So like, for example, my spot healing tool, J, Shift J will go to the next one, Shift J will go to the next one, Shift J will bring you back to the top of the list, okay? All right, so some of them, you can also do what's called a temporary toggle, all right? So for example, the hand tool, all right, actually let me go to, I am in the move tool, okay? All right. If I click here, I'm not gonna be able to do anything, all right? But let's say I wanted to shift my screen, all right? And if you notice, one of the first ones that I got rid of was the hand tool. My hand tool is nowhere in this toolbox, okay? Because I typically use the shortcut key, which is the space bar. Space bar temporarily changes over to the hand. So now I can move my my layer, my artboard around, okay? And then when I let go of the space bar, it returns me to my pick tool, okay? The same thing with the zoom, all right? This one's for you, Lihia. You want to zoom in and zoom out. The shortcut key is the letter Z. So if I hit the letter Z, it's going to toggle over to the zoom bar or the zoom tool, okay? But let me go back. But if I want to temporarily zoom in, all right? So let's say I'm using my brush, okay? Let's say I'm using my brush and I want to zoom into an area. I will press and hold the letter Z. I can now zoom in, and then when I let go of the zoom, it brings me back to the tool, okay? So between the Z and the H, I can move around, right? And I have scrubby zoom, so that means when I move my cursor to the left, it's going to zoom out. When I move my cursor to the right, it's going to zoom in. Okay? All right. Any questions on those? Fairly simple? Okay. All right. We're going to go to my magic wand tool. I'm going to click on that background. And like I said, we see right here that it selected a portion of the bottom that I don't want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over my tool to the Lasso Tool, okay? And I want to make sure that I am on subtract, because what I want to do is I want to subtract. All right, notice when I make a selection, it's removing from my previous selection, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to this corner, work around here, come to this corner, let go, and it's going to draw a nice straight line across there, okay? I'm going to do the same thing on this side. You guys probably can't see it, but there's a very, very thin light gray right here. So I'm just going to come from here to here. There we go. And now I have my selection. Okay. So from here, all I have to do is come down and create a solid color adjustment layer, okay? And because I already have a selection, it's going to automatically apply a mask, okay? And then I can make that background any color that I want, okay? And because my color picker dialog box is open, all right, I can select anything from in here, or if I decide to come out of that color picker tool, I can go anywhere on my image and select a color from there. So I just click there, or I can click there. All right, I kind of like that. All right, but what I want to do now is I want to warm that color up. So I'm going to shift from the red into the yellow a little bit more, okay? And maybe add a little bit saturation and a little bit lighter, okay? All right, and that's a good substitute color, okay? So that's a very, very quick and dirty way of doing it when you have a background that's fairly clean, okay? Now, I did that very, very quickly, and if we were to zoom in to here, you can see that the edge selection isn't that great, okay? Because what it did is it selected the continuous solid white pixels, okay? But because of the anti-aliasing that occurs between an object and a background, there's that soft little kind of like feathering here, all right? It doesn't do a very good job selecting beyond that, okay? So at that point, what we're going to do is I'm going to actually, let me make this up. What do I want? I want mask options. Nope. I want, yeah, I can't even remember. I need to make these bigger. I'll worry about it some other time. All right, I'm gonna go to my mask. Okay, here's the mask. All right, and if I double click, enter, select, and mask. Okay. All right, we're going to go to my overlay. All right. Actually, let me go black and white. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom in right into this area. Okay. What you can't see in this view, all right, unless I change it. Okay, let's do the marching ants. There we go. Okay. That marching ants is the edge of my mask. What I want to do is I want to bring that mask in. Okay, so I'm going to shift my edge to the negative. Okay, all right, and you're going to notice that I'm at 100% negative, but it's not doing anything. Okay, you need to do one thing before you can shift it over. Okay, so let me reset that to 0, and that is you have to either apply a feather. All right, I usually start off with 1 pixel feather, okay, before I shift my edge. All right, and now when I shift my edge, all right, actually it's going to the positive side, okay, you notice that it's shifting that edge inwards, okay. So if we look up here, all right, we got rid of that kind of like soft edge, but not on everything, okay? Not on everything, because it depends on how thick that little area is, okay? Let's try going up on my feather. All right, there's a 2-pixel feather, and you can see that it's bringing it in there, but it's also bringing it in up here. All right, so you have to kind of play devil's advocate as to how much, okay? And you can see that it's cutting out my highlight right in here. All right, so the tool is not perfect, but it's going to get you very, very close. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and say okay to this. All right, I'm still on my mask, so I'm going to pick a brush, B for brush. All right, let's make that a lot smaller. Let's give it a harder edge. All right, about 8%. Okay. Black as my foreground color. I'm just going to paint that little bit of a highlight back in. And I'm good to go. All right. And I can check all these other areas here. You can just travel all the way along. All right. And it looks like it did a very, very decent job of selecting my background, except maybe here. All right, so I have, oops, wrong one. I have black as my foreground, white as my background. I'm gonna go ahead and change that. Letter X shifts it. And I'm going to go ahead and just paint those little areas to get rid of that. And I'm good to go. Control 0 zooms out. And I have a perfectly cut out background. All right.
Excuse me, Doc?
Yep.
How did you get the marching ants on your mask instead of the black and the white?
Oh,
How did you
sure.
the things?
All right. I'm going to go back into my mask. All right. So double click on your mask. It brings you into the dialog box. Okay. The marching ants, all right, if we look all the way up and, oh, I keep hitting the wrong button here. If we look in the upper right hand corner where it says view mode, all right, there are a lot of options. All right, onion skin, I don't like using this. What it does is it puts kind of like an overlay with a bit of transparency. Okay, but you can see that because the colors are very similar, it's making my object look very similar to my background. So that's not a good choice. All right. Next one.
Could you move or minimize you because you are?
Oh, sorry. Good.
Sorry.
Good call. Good call. Good call. Thank you. All right. The marching ants.
Oh, I see.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
We have overlay.
Yep.
Okay. And you can change the color of your overlay. All right. You can do on black. All right. Which is kind of like the onion skin, but using black instead of white. On white. Sometimes it's good to change this up depending on how much contrast you have within your image between the selection and everything else. You might want to play with these. Okay. This is the one that I usually no, it's not. The overlay is usually the one that I go for. All right.
Okay.
But I usually have funky colors. The red is the typical overlay. I'm a little bit more partial to green. This kind of like really ghastly neon lime green. Okay. The majority of the work that I do is product photography. So that color tends to work very well for me. If you're a landscape photographer, it might not work best for you. All right. And then, of course, okay. So, all right, right here is where you can change the color. All right, just below that. All right, you can also change the opacity of your mask overlay. Okay, by default it's set to 50. All right, and then the color overlay. All right, see how that stands out really, really bright?
Mm-hmm.
I know exactly where my mask is. Okay, that's why I like the green.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so yeah, so that's where you change it. All right.
Thank you.
And let me bring that back. Overlay. Okay. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Not a problem. All right. So we covered how to make your selection. We covered how to change the background. Oh, all right. How to, let me zoom into this area. Okay. So right in here, I have a pretty hard highlight. Okay. And what I want to do is I want to sample from the area just below it and paint that highlight in with that sample area. All right. So I'm going to use the letter S, brings me to my clone stamp tool. All right. I'm going to go to my brushes. I want to make sure that I have a nice, fairly hard edge. Oh, that's the size. There's my hardness. Okay. Now, if you put it at 100%, okay, depending on what you're working on and the scale of your brush, sometimes it pixelates the edge. All right, so very, very seldom will I use a brush at 100% hardness, okay? I usually fluctuate between 80 and 90% hardness because that's going to give me just a little bit of enough softness to that edge. All right. Here, let me make a new layer. All right. I'm going to go with just a regular brush. Okay. And I'm just going to paint in. All right. And I'm going to zoom in. See how kind of like really jagged and pixelated that edge is? All right. It's not bad if you're drawing a line, but when you're trying to blend one thing into another, you need a little bit of that anti-aliasing, okay? So I prefer adding at about 80 to 90%. 90% if I'm using a small brush, all right? 80% if I'm using a slightly bigger brush. All right, so you can probably see the difference in the two between here and here. See, this one has a more natural softness, soft blend to it, while this one looks pixelated. That's why I don't like using that hard edge. Okay.
Would you, Doug?
Yeah.
Would you use 80 to 90% hardness if you were also using a healing brush or anything else?
No, the healing brush works a slightly different way. That is definitely dependent on the content and how much of the background area you're looking to blend. All right, so having going the other way, having a softer transition works better with that tool. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So what I'm going to do now is let me zoom out just a little bit. All right. I'm going to select my my background layer. Okay. I'm going to, let's see, I have about 90% on my hardness. I'm going to make the size of my brush is going to be, so it's just a little larger than the area I need to cover. All right. That edge hardness scales with the size of your brush. That's why I fluctuate between 80 and 90, because it's very dependent on the size of the brush. All right. So what I'm going to do is I want to sample as close to that edge. All right. Because there's a gradient here. It's a soft gradient, barely discernible, but the gray here is lighter and warmer than the gray here. All right, so I don't want to, actually I do want to. Let me go ahead. I'm gonna press and hold my Alt key and I tap and click. That's gonna sample that area. Now, if I bring it up here, notice the difference in color. All right, so you have to be careful where you're sampling. All right, oops. All right, so I want to sample as close to it as possible. So I'm going to sample here, and then I'm going to move it up into the corner. I'm going to click once, come down here, click, shift click. All right, oh, I didn't want to do it. There we go. I have my screen sharing. Okay, where is it? All right. And you can see I'm getting a bit of a hard edge. All right, so that's not what I want. All right, so I'm going to undo that. Okay.
Doc, can I ask you a question?
Yep.
How do you undo it? What do you hit?
Control Z. All right.
Okay.
So what nobody is asking is, all right, why are you doing it on the original? Okay. I wouldn't normally. All right. But I'm going to show you here. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to increase my hardness a little bit, and I'm going to lower my opacity down to about 50%. Okay. So what that's going to do is it's going to allow me to build up that part a little bit at a time. Okay. And you can see that I got rid of kind of like that hard edge or that hard white edge. Okay. And then if anything needs to be blended in because it doesn't quite color match, you can do the same thing. Like, for example, here's looking a little bit off. All right. So I'm going to make a couple passes. There we go. All right. And then when we zoom out, I no longer have that bright white edge. Okay. All right, so Lihia, what I noticed with you, and of course I'm picking on you because, well, you know, you asked for it.
Please
Okay.
do. Please do. I feel special.
Yeah. The clone stamp tool is unique in the fact that there's a lot of variables at play. All right, one of them being how it is sampling the source material. Okay. Right now, I don't have a lot of layers. So there are no like curves adjustment layers that are influencing it. There are no color adjustment layers that are influencing it. All right. So you have to be careful. All right. With this particular tool. Okay. What I normally like to do is when I am using the clone stamp tool, I want to make sure that I am on the current layer, okay, and not sampling anything else. Because let's say, for example, I'm going to go ahead and apply a curves adjustment, and I'm going to make everything darker. Okay. I'm going to go back to my background layer. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and select my clone stamp, and I'm going to go all layers. Okay. Now, if we look here, there's a couple little spots, and let's say I wanted to get rid of them. All right. I'm going to go ahead and sample just to the left-hand side. Okay. All right. I'm going to be fairly close to where I am. All right. And notice that I'm on the same level. I'm not moving up. I'm not moving down. All right. Because I have that gradient. Okay. So I'm going to sample here, and I'm going to cover there. Notice that I now have dark spots. Okay. The reason I have dark spots is because it's also sampling the layer above it that is darkening the layer below it that I'm actually pulling the pixels from. So I'm basically, with this clone stamp tool, I am sampling an artificially darkened pixel and applying it to a layer that is also getting darkened. All right, so you can see how it kind of builds up. All right, so you want to make sure, I'm going to go ahead and undo that. You want to make sure that you are on current layer. Okay, now when I sample that and I go here, all right, let me bring this back up to 100. Okay, I can now very quickly, and I'm not resampling. All right, I'm just moving along, and I am, because my point, you can, I don't know if you guys can see that little bit of a plus sign to the left-hand side. That's my sample point. All right, I know where that sample point is all the time. Okay, because I placed it there. Okay, so I don't need to change it every time I'm doing something, unless something within here changes. Like, for example, there's this kind of like line here. All right, it's going into the shadow. So if I sample out here and try to paint that in, I'm going to literally paint out that shadow. All right, so I need to now make sure that I sample, all right, in line with that shadow. Okay, drop it down, and now, see, even that's no good. All right, there we go. That's a lot better. Okay. So you got to watch, you know, what angle the elements are on what you are sampling. Okay. All right. Also, if I am sampling, all right, see this little line? Okay. I'm going to adjust my brush size, and you can adjust it on the fly with the bracket keys. The left and right square bracket will make it bigger and smaller. Okay. I want to bracket it so it's just covering what I need to cover. I don't need to go crazy. So I'm going to go just to the right, click, come back in, paint down. All right, paint down. Now see this mark here that goes horizontal? I'm now going to shift my target point to just below it, and then come back up and paint. Okay, so it's always going to change in accordance to what it is that I want to get rid of. All right, most of the time, if there's spots, it doesn't matter. You want to be kind of in line with your gradient. Okay, or if there's color, you want to make sure, you know, that you're in line with the color, right? So, all right, here's another example. There's this this little piece of whatever that is. That is actually a little artifact from the platform excuse me, It's a little artifact from the platform that I built behind my white card that's actually holding up the chocolate. All right, so in this case, I want to use the clone stamp tool to get rid of it. So my angle of this card travels from the lower left to the upper right. So I'm just going to pick up an area just to the right along that same line, okay? I'm going to click on it. I'm going to bring it down, all right? And now I can paint and it's going to match everything, okay? And then if I want, I can resample from the other, oops. Go ahead and Control Z. All right, I can resample from this side. All right. Make myself a little bit bigger. Okay. And if your edge is too hard, okay. Now that I'm away from this hard edge, I don't need this hard edge anymore. Now I can go a little bit softer, all right? So I'm going to go to about 50%, okay? And now I can go ahead and clone out that area, okay? All right, and that little schmutza is gone. Okay, so be very careful where you place your control point or your sample point in relation to your target point. Okay, now in your particular case, you were sampling the bottle. All right. I am going to, let me create a solid Y. Let me put this, all right, give me 1 second. Okay, I'm going to very rudimentally draw a bottle here, all right? So here's a bottle, all right? You have the bottle neck, okay? When, because of your lighting, the only thing you can see when you had your photograph, you can see that highlight edge on the sides, right? You had those two little highlight edges, okay? Everything else, all this stuff in here was black, okay? But because you're shooting raw, because you have a certain amount of leeway, if you go up on your exposure, if you either line it up with a curves adjustment or some other, any adjustment that brightens it, you're going to see the detail of that bottleneck, okay? Even though this whole area was black, okay? So now, all right, if I take my clone stamp tool and I say, I want to get rid of that little highlight at the top, and I'm not careful about where all right, notice what happens? I sampled from the middle of the neck, okay? But because everything looks black, it's going to look good until you change the exposure. All right, so that's why I said if you can sample directly, all right, because these are going horizontally, all right, if I need to change this, all right, I want to go directly across from where I sample, all right, and it's not sampling white because this is, let me go ahead and raster that down. Okay. Click. Now I can go ahead and resample that. All right, click, resample. resample. All right. All right. This is kind of like a really bad example, but hopefully you get the idea. Okay. I learned this the hard way because when I first started doing digital editing, I had a scan that my screen just couldn't show all the colors, and I was sampling from areas on a jacket that looked like it was just plain brown, and sample here, and I go over here, and when it printed, there was a button there, you know, that I didn't see before because it wasn't visible, and it just cloned the button. So learned the hard way. Okay. All right. So let me delete that layer. Let me delete this layer. Okay. All right. And you can see now all those little spots. All right. Because I selected from the current layer, they all match. Okay. All right. There was something else that you had mentioned, and I can't remember what it was that I wanted to point out, and for the life of me, I can't remember. So anyway, questions? Any questions?
Bracketing. When do you use it? I'm sorry. Bridge on Adobe.
Adobe Bridge?
Yeah, Adobe Bridge. When's the right time to use it? When's the wrong time to use it?
If your workflow requires it. All right. So if you are not a fan of Lightroom as a catalog manager, Bridge is a good alternative.
That
you know.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Bridge, I don't use Bridge because I have no need for it. I remember about 8 years ago playing with it briefly. So I know a little bit about it, right? The way I can best describe it is Bridge is a really, really dumb, stripped down version of Lightroom. It's got very, very basic editing abilities, I believe. And it doesn't build a catalog like Lightroom does. I think it just creates a directory view from wherever you have your images. So you go to a folder in Bridge, it's actually going to that folder on your hard drive, and it's collecting and populating it with thumbnails.
It's basically for transportation to another area.
No, Bridge is useful. Okay. For a photographer, I would try to urge you to go to Lightroom more than Bridge. All right. Simply because the cataloging aspect of Lightroom is a lot more robust than Bridge. Bridge can only handle what each particular image carries. So for example, if you need to add tags, you're actually tagging right directly into the image, which Lightroom does the same thing. If you want to give it some kind of rating, you are only limited to star ratings, okay, from 1 to 5 stars. Okay, there are no flags, and I believe there are no colors available as well. So minor, okay, all right, you can argue that point. Where Bridge comes into effect better than Lightroom is for like graphic designers. For myself, I tend to have a lot of assets, especially with backgrounds, okay? And I may have assets that are like individual clip art in vector format. Okay. So when I have a lot of assets, I don't want to open up Lightroom, have Lightroom take in those assets, that the only assets that Lightroom can handle obviously are images. Okay. And then if I need to use them, I can't use those assets from Lightroom. All right. Because Lightroom is not designed for handling those types of assets, where Bridge is. So if I need to find either a background asset or some kind of object asset, I can go to Bridge, find it very quickly, and then bring it into my program very easily. Okay. And as things move outside of Bridge, I don't have to worry about it, because Bridge builds the view based on the folder, not on a catalog. All right. So one day, I decide, what? I'm going to bust out 15 assets, and they're, let's say they're all trees, and I put them into my tree folder. Okay. Next time I'm working on a big project and I need some of these tree assets, I can just load up Bridge, go to my tree folder, and it's going to populate it with everything in that folder, including all the new stuff that I put in. Okay. Let's say that you're a writer and you're collecting assets for a story you want to write. And you go on the internet and you're taking little clippets from the internet, whether it's you're downloading a JPEG or a GIF or, a snippet of an article. You can keep it all in one folder. And Bridge, when you open up Bridge, it shows you all those assets. So that way, when you're working on your story, you just go to, let's say, Acme Factory story. You just go to the Acme Factory folder, load it up, populates it, and you can see everything in that folder. And you say, okay, I need information on this character, which is based on this photograph. You pull up the photograph and you're good to go. So that's where Bridge, in my opinion, really, really shines. All right.
Thank you.
Brian, you should be exploring Bridge for your web design. Yeah, I see you cringing. You got your own system, right? Yeah. You're muted there, buddy.
Plus, I tend to work alone, so I kind of always saw Bridge as something if you need to collaborate with other folks.
Yeah.
So my Bridge is usually emails.
Yeah.
Getting a gift from the email.
I remembered what it was. I knew it'd come back to me. I knew it'd come back. Okay. Let's go back to this photo. I want you to pay close attention on my layer stack. Okay? My layer stack. The purpose here was to remove that upper white and change the background. Okay, so I created that color fill. I'm gonna go ahead and rename that. My workflow, whenever I create a background, I immediately rename it to BG. Okay. But if you look, my background is above my subject. All right, so let's call this subject. Okay. I don't want my subject below my background. All right. That, for me, that does not make sense. I want this to be above it. Okay. So that means now I have to take my mask and shift it up here. Okay. But lo and behold, it's backwards. Okay. So all I got to do is select my mask, Control I, and we're good to go. Okay. So now if I wanted to, I can even remove the lower section here, all right, and change the colors on that if I wanted to. Okay, all right. That's what I wanted to point out is, you know, pay attention to your layer stacks. Okay, all right. And if I wanted to, I can even do a gradient. All right, so let's do a gradient. All right, we're gonna go from red to, let's see, a deep red. Okay, and we're gonna go opacity at 100%. Okay, there we go. All right, so we're gonna go, yeah, there we go. Okay, so be careful with your layer stack. All right, that's what I couldn't remember earlier. Okay, any other questions?
Lovely. This is very helpful. Thank you.
Okay. All righty, guys.
I think Carol was trying to talk to you. Her microphone's not that good.
Oh. Just
You can hardly hear me,
just
Carol.
barely, yeah.
Is there an easy way to transfer iPhone pictures to a PC? Edit Photoshop.
Yeah, you need to go into into a PC. Ooh, that's a good question. I know that iPhones and Macs synchronize through your account, so you can download your images to your MacBook very easily.
Doc, I don't know if this is the best way to do this. Carol, if you can hear me, I email to myself. I email I take the photo that's on the iPhone and I email it to myself. Then I go to my desktop and I download it.
The other way is look for a Mac cloud client for your PC, one that allows you to access your cloud account. All right, because usually photos will auto sync to the cloud on an iPhone. If you can access that from your PC, then you can just download it from there. I'm not a Mac person, so I'm the wrong person to ask.
I'm not a Mac person either.
At one time, Carol, at one time, I did sync music files on my Mac, which I don't use that often, just for music, on my Mac and my iPhone. Then I decided not to. I don't like the idea, for security reasons, I don't like the idea of syncing things. I think if you go to Google and type how to sync photos with the iPhone and Mac, you'll probably find something.
I've just been down this little path, folks. I'm in a two-family Android iPhone family now, and my girlfriend has just gone from connecting all her pictures. She used to be Android, now she's on the iPhone. And what we've been doing, or what I do to move things around, is from my phone to wherever, I use Google Drive or Google Photos. So whether you're, one of the things, you can use Google Photos if you have a Google account, and even if you have an iPhone or any of that, you can have it set up so those things will automatically sync out there. And we do the same thing because we have a Dropbox account. Nope, sorry, back that up. I have a SmugMug account and have that set up so that, in fact, that's my solution now for getting things from my phone to my computer is I just upload everything from my phone to my SmugMug account, and then when I need it, I just bring it back into my computer. So those are a couple workarounds, but that may help with what you're trying to get done in terms of syncing.
To clarify, are we attempting to go from photos to a Mac or to a PC? PC. Okay. Because maybe going back to the point that was just made, if you go into Photos and go to File, you can do an export. I believe it's unmodified. And maybe by exporting the photos you need to, let's say, as the last gentleman said, to Google Drive, then you could access it from your PC and bring it into Lightroom. But clearly, I do it. I'm taking a bunch of things off my photos, and within Photos, going to File, Export, I think it's unmodified, and then bringing it out to a drive so I can access it into Lightroom.
I didn't know you could do that on the iPhone. You go to your photos and select certain ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm actually, just very quickly, I'm in iPhotos and selecting photos, and once I have them selected, going within iPhotos to File, Export, Unmodified, and I'm bringing it back to a hard drive. I'm on a Mac, but still I think the example would still work, as the last gentleman said, maybe with Google Drive. And then once I have it all set up, then I'm going to go into Lightroom and start accessing those folders.
Also, if you have AirDrop, you can select X amount of images and AirDrop it to your computer directly. And from there, you can save them in a hard drive or in a document on a folder in your computer.
All of this is way over my head.
I'm on my iPhone now. I collected a couple pictures, and I don't see what you're talking about. With copy photos, export, there's nothing about export.
You see it?
Yeah, let me go to my mouth. So you're adding photos and you're exporting photos.
I'm on my iPhone.
Yeah, so you're in your phone, right? And in your phone you are in Photos. Right? So you select couple and then you just go into the letter square on the left right here. The letter square with the little arrow on the top. And it should bring either AirDrop, email, Gmail.
Oh yeah, all your share.
Facebook,
Yeah.
all your share. And you can go and export from there. So you can even export to files in Gmail. So you can create an album and export the whole album.
Yeah. So you have a lot of options, it sounds like. So find the one.
Take the files.
Yeah. Find the one that's easiest for you. Yeah. Like Bill said earlier, he just emails it to himself.
That's what I do. It's a pain.
Yeah. It's a pain.
You can actually export it to iCloud Drive from there.
Yeah, see that's.
And then your PC log in iCloud, and then you drag everything to whatever you want to drag it.
Yeah.
Excuse me, one last thing. Like you said, there's more than one option.
Yep.
But go to Settings on your phone. I'm on my phone right now, and select Photos. And all the way in the bottom, there's an option to transfer to Mac or PC.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that'll do what you're trying to do. Take a look at.
Go to settings and what was it?
Go to settings on your iPhone
Yeah.
and select photos. And when you open up that option under settings, all the way in the bottom, there's an option to transfer to Mac or PC.
Yeah, for that, I think if I remember correctly, you have to be tethered with a USB cable.
Okay,
Have that.
that would be much easier, I think. But
Probably, yeah.
okay.
Thank you.
Well, hopefully that gives you something to work with. You know, like they said, there's more than one way to skin a cat there. So, all right, that was fun. I learned something.
That was fun.
The healing brush, just for like blemishes on skin.
I didn't catch that.
When did you use the healing brush? Just for like little blemishes on skin or something?
The healing brush. I don't think I ever. There's two of them. There's the spot healing brush. Let me go ahead and share the windowed. All right, hold on 1 second. Let me go back to chat before I do this because I'd always share. Okay, desktop. Okay. There are two healing brush tools. There's the spot healing brush and the regular healing brush. Okay. The spot healing brush is the one that I tend to prefer because it kind of it utilizes content aware. Well, where the other one is kind of like the clone stamp tool in a way. Let me zoom in. Okay. The spot healing brush, let me go get on my layer, uses content aware. All right. So let's say I wanted to get rid of this little thingy here. All right. And again, I'm doing it wrong because I'm doing it right on my image layer. Okay. And you can see that it samples on its own. All right. And you got to be careful because notice that it kind of sampled this little bit and placed it here. Okay. So let me undo that. Okay. But for the most part, I find that the spot healing brush tool is an awesome tool to work with. All right. The healing brush, all right, you have to select where you're going to sample from before you use it. Okay. So in a way, it's kind of sort of like the clone stamp tool, but it does some different things. It kind of it doesn't quite do a clone copy. All right. It selects. You target an area, and it samples in a random pattern from that target area in order to rebuild what it is that you're covering. I don't know if you can follow that explanation. All right. A clone stamp basically lifts pixel per pixel from one area, brings it over, and plops it down. All right. And depending on how much fuzziness you have on the edge, it's going to soften the edges. Okay. So what happens with a clone stamp tool, let me go to clone stamp. Let me make this smaller. Okay. If I sample from here and I go here, right, it's going to apply everything from that area to this area. All right? And becomes a, like the name says, it becomes a clone of the sampled area. With the healing brush tool, I can sample, let me back that out. I can sample the same, I'll sample the same area, okay? And notice that as I'm drawing, all right, even the center part is cloned, but everything kind of like around it is rebuilt to match its environment. Okay? It's not a direct lift and stamp. All right? So that's the difference between the two. All right? And then, of course, the spot healing, you do not need to select a target area. The software will find a target area for you. All right? So I find that works a little bit faster. But if you're working in an area that has a lot of texture and it's sampling from the wrong areas, then switch over to the regular healing brush tool, because now you can select where you want to pick from. Okay? And then you just gotta, I usually keep my thumb on the Alt. I click, tap, click, tap, click, tap. All right, click, tap. So it's a lot of back and forth, but you get finer control over what you're covering. Okay? All right, so it's great for like, I use it when, this just reminded me, I use it when I am fixing the top of crusty bread. Crusty bread tends to have a lot of cracks in it. So if I wanted something with a smoother top, I'll use the clone stamp tool. I'll use the regular healing brush tool to rebuild where those cracks are. Okay. So anyway, that's the differences. Does that answer your question? Okay, awesome. All right, guys. Thank you for putting up with me past several months as I struggled with my computer changeover. It's only going to get better from here on.
We went through a Monday night without a glitch.
We yeah! Oh my God!
Yes, we did. Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. This is, yeah. Even the sharing of the screen. That was fantastic.
Yes, we were.
Ah, I'm so happy. This is a long time coming. All right. So anyway, next Monday, have your questions ready. It's going to be general Q&A. I'll see if I can pull a topic out of my hat to start off the conversation with. And don't forget, keep an eye on the meetup group, meetup.com, Milford Photo. I'll be posting the Zoom event. Actually, let me get out of this sharing. All right. I'll be sharing, I'll be doing a live lighting demonstration here in the studio. I'll be broadcasting that over Zoom. Right. So, Lihia, even you can join. Okay. All right. I'm not in control over it, so I think there is going to be a charge. Usually he charges anywhere like $20, $24, $25, something like that, typically. I will have a model, so he may up the price just to cover the model. And then that Saturday, sorry, Lihia, it's a live event. You know, if you're ever in Connecticut, you can always stop by. We have a spare bedroom if you ever need, save yourself in a hotel room. Okay.
There you go.
You and your husband are more than welcome.
Thank you.
But yeah, Saturday's event's a live event, so wish you could join us, but opportunity. Yep. But you know what? Once these are finally published, I still have to talk with a trademark lawyer. So once this gets published and for sale, I'm going to be pushing these for photographers and photo clubs and meetup groups and things like that. They're fun. They're fun. So awesome, guys. Thank you once again for another great episode. You guys are awesome. I couldn't do this without you, obviously. And to all my Patreons, thank you so much. Your support is more than appreciated, and it's in part helped make this a reality. So thank you.
Thanks, Doc.
See you all next week.
Thanks, Doc. See you then. Good night, everybody.
Thank you for watching Learning Photography with Duck. Brought to you in association with Milford Photo, your local full-service camera store. Located in downtown Milford, Connecticut, Milford Photo offers you a personalized shopping experience. From the latest camera gear to printing and framing services. And, of course, educational workshops to teach you the finer aspects of photography. Don't forget to tell them Duck sent you.